Hi. So today's the topic which we are going to discuss is based on advanced Java. So in this advanced Java, so these are the topics which we are going to discuss. We are going to discuss about the introduction to advanced Java and introduction to J2EE and JDBC and all this one. This is all what we are going to discuss. So when you come across this introduction to Java, so let me brief you about advanced Java. Advanced Java is everything that goes beyond core Java. Most importantly, the APIs defined in Java Enterprise Editions includes servlet programming, web services, the persistent API, etc. It is a web and enterprise application development platform which basically follows client and server architecture. So what is this? Now, when you come across this need for advanced Java, is that advanced Java, that is your Java EE, Java Enterprise Edition, gives you the library to understand the client server architecture for web application development, which core Java doesn't support. J2EE is a platform independent Java centric environment for developing, building, and deploying web-based applications online. It also consists of a set of services, APIs, and protocols which provides the functionality that is necessary for developing multi-tiered web-based applications. You will be able to work with web and application servers like Apache Tomcat, Glassfish, etc. and understand the communication over HTTP protocol, but in core Java, it is not possible. There are a lot of advanced Java frameworks like Spring, JSF, Struts, etc., which enable you to develop a secure transaction-based web application for the domains like e-commerce, banking, legal, financial, healthcare, and inventory. To work and understand the hot technologies like Hadoop and cloud services, you should be prepared with core and advanced Java concepts. Okay, that is the reason why we are focusing on introduction to advanced Java. So I hope you understand why advanced Java is essential. Okay, for better understanding, I'll explain the topic J2SC, J2EE, and JDBC. Okay, now we are going to discuss about J2SC. Now, when you come across J2EE after J2SC, we are discussing about J2EE used for application that runs on server. For example, which I discussed about website, which includes servlets, Java server pages, and Java server faces. The next one, J2ME, that is Java 2 micro editions. Whenever you're trying to develop applications on mobile-based platform, you'll be able to use J2ME, runs on resource-constrained devices, small-scale devices like cell phones, for example, gaming purpose or anything. So this is about all about J2SC, J2EE, and J2ME. So now we are going to discuss about J2EE. So which I have already explained this J2EE, which is a platform independent environment for developing, building, and Java-based applications online. And I have already highlighted this simplifies the complexity of building entire applications. So with the help of enterprise editions, you can have tiered based application, that is business tier, database tier, or presentation tier, business tier, and persistent tier. Okay. So with the help of enterprise editions, you will be able to develop, and you also able to standardize an API between components and application server containers. J2EE application server and container provide the framework services. So that made the origin of going through your Java 2 enterprise edition. Now we are discussing the discussion about introduction to JDBC. Okay, what is JDBC? Java Database Connectivity. JDBC is a standard Java API for database independent connectivity between the Java programming language and a wide range of databases. This application program interface lets you encode the access request statements. In structured query language, that is your SQL, they are then passed to the program that manages the database. It mainly involves opening a connection. What in JDBC you are trying to perform mainly involves opening a connection, creating a SQL database, executing SQL queries, and then arriving the output. We can use JDBC API to access tabular data stored in any relational database. By the help of JDBC API, we can save, we can update, we can delete and fetch data from the database. It is similar to the open database connectivity provided by Microsoft. So for better understanding of working of JDBC, let us understand the architecture that lies behind Java database connectivity. So this is the architecture which you are able to see. The JDBC API supports both two-tier and three-tier applications or processing models for database access. But in general, JDBC architecture consists of two layers. One is JDBC API, second one is JDBC driver API. What JDBC API provides? This provides the application to JDBC manager connection. JDBC driver API, this supports the JDBC manager to driver connection. So in this image which you are looking here, the JDBC API uses a driver manager and data specific driver to provide transparent connectivity to heterogeneous databases. The JDBC driver manager ensures that the correct driver is used to access each data source. The driver manager is capable of supporting multiple concurrent drivers connected to multiple heterogeneous databases. So I'll discuss because further all is related to syntax. So now in this JDBC API, what does JDBC provide? JDBC API provide the following. It will consist of classes and interfaces. We have classes called as a driver manager is used to manage a list of database drivers. The first driver that recognizes a certain sub-protocol under JDBC will be used to establish a database connection. Next, you have a driver interface. Driver is an interface that handles the communication with the database server. It also abstracts the details associated with working with driver objects. Third one we'll come across is connection interface. Connection is an interface that consists of all the methods required to connect to a database. The connection object represents communication context, that is all communication with the database is through connection object only. Understood the JDBC architecture? Generally, whenever you are connecting your applications to the database, the JDBC architecture, we doesn't have, okay, fine. Steps. Generally, what is the syntax when you want to create the database? You'll use the creating the database and all. Let me go back to here. Let me have this statements. So importing the packages, the first step, you need to include the packages containing the JDBC classes needed for database programming. Most often using import java.sql.star. Next one, you need to register the JDBC driver. Here you have to initialize a driver so that you can open a communication channel with the database. Third one, open a connection. Here you can use the get connection method to create a connection object which represent a physical connection with the object. Fourth one, you'll have a execute query. Requires using an object of type statement for building and submitting an SQL statement to the database. Extract data from result set. Requires that you use the appropriate getters method to retrieve the data from the result set. Finally, you need to clean up the environment. Requires explicitly closing all database resources versus relying on the JVM garbage collection. Hope so you got a fair idea. So now in order to have this, let me see my database. Okay, I was trying to install the MySQL software. So in order to run the program, so I'm using the MySQL, so which was got stuck earlier. Okay. In the meantime, this is how you install the MySQL software in your database. It will take within a few minutes. So by the time I'll be showing you the demo, how it is going to perform. This is how you install the application. Okay. In the meantime, what I'll try to have means I'll go to my Eclipse. So by the time database get ready, I need to have a Java program or the project in order to establish the connection. So in order for the establishment of the connection, let me click on this launch Eclipse. Okay. So this is the Eclipse. I'm trying to choose a Maven based project. Why I'll choose Maven project? Because as you learned here, we need to have JDBC driver in order to establish the application. That's where I'll choose JDBC Maven project. So here I'll choose a group ID. Let us say group ID means you can assume that like packages. I try to give com.edureka.training. I'll try to provide JDBC demo. Let it be jar. I click on finish. Okay, when I click on this finish, you can see this JDBC demo is there. We have a pom.xml. Okay, need couple of items. One is, okay, the two items which we required. Let me go to the internet. So in the internet, we need Maven compiler plugin. I try to use the compiler plugin. The purpose of using the compiler plugin is to compile your Java, which is in JDK 8 version. I'm using this compiler plugin. So it will take some time in order to get configured. So till the time, okay, it's getting installed. Yeah, Maven is basically a build tool. The purpose of using Maven is that in order basically to compile your Java code with a Maven. Why I use Maven means if I do not use Maven, then developer should manually download the jars. Jars is nothing but the environment. Now I need a jar. What is a jar? JDBC jar to establish the connection to the database. So in order to establish the connections, I need to go to the internet, download the JDK or JDBC or MySQL connector. So instead of me downloading the jar, I'll ask the Maven to pull the repository from the internet and it will be stored in the local machine. I'll show you that what it is happening behind the scene. Everything, whatever I'm showing, demonstrating, it is from the scratch itself. So for the very first time, the project is getting created. It's taking some time. So you can see this with the help of a Maven. Okay, you can see the standard folder structures will be created. What is meant by standard folder structure means generally, if you are using any editor, like we have Eclipse, IntelliJ, and we have NetBeans, which are there in the market. The key challenge is that for the developer, each IDE will provide its own folder structure. Now let us say if I give the project to Aditya. So the problem is that if Aditya is using IntelliJ, he's a new to Eclipse. The problem for him is that he has to read the folder structure, which complete folder structure where the Java file is resided, where the HTML, that is static content, dynamic content are presented. So that is where the Maven will help us. Maven will provide you the build tool. So what it will provide? It will provide you the standard folder structure. If you written source main Java, it is clearly understood all our Java class will be present here. If I am writing JUnit test cases, all the classes will be present in JUnit folder. That is source test Java. If I am using any XML files, all the configuration files will be resided in resources. That means Maven will provide you the generalized folder structures. So now you can see here J2EE. When I try to use the Maven, by default Maven will provide JDK 1.5 compiler. Since I have provided here, let me try to update the project. When I try to update this project, you can see Maven update project. You can see the version JDK 1.5. It will change to. Can you see that? Okay, it's trying to build. In the meantime, you can see that it will change to 1.8. Can you see that? That is, as of now, the Maven is able to compile Java 8 features, which I will be using in the program. So second purpose, as I told you, what is the main purpose of using Maven? Okay, as I told you, dependency. What is the dependency? I need the jar. Okay, now I need to provide the password. So since I'm providing you can see I'm installing everything from scratch from your end. Okay, so now what I need to have, the purpose of using Maven is that I need to have Maven dependency or MySQL. You can type here MySQL dependency Maven. If I try to type MySQL Maven repository, the Maven will try to connect to its official site. Instead of having 5.1.6, I try to pull the latest version. I request you people who have connected from heterogeneous location, like from apart from India, if people have connected, do not use 8.0.21. Suppose if you're Japan, okay, now Japan is 3 hours or 3.5 hours early to our time. So if you try to run this program, it may lead to certain exception. So better try to choose the latest version of dependency. So now what I'm trying to add, I'm trying to copy this dependency and putting here people like below, like if you people are connected from Australia and US, not a challenge. People like where their time zone is earlier compared to IST, for them the challenge is there. So now I'm trying to add the dependencies. When I say dependency, what is meant by dependency are nothing but the jar. I have copied the dependency and I'm pasting here. If I see here, you can see the changes, what it is happening here. So since it is building the workspace, you can see here, I got the Maven JDK unit. So you can see that particular jar will get downloaded. See, it is down building workspace and all. Now what is it is happening? Since your system is connected to the internet, it is trying to download the jars. Earlier, it was the developer responsibility to download the jar. Now with the help of Maven project, I can develop standardized folder structure. Now if I give to any one of the person, see, you got a Maven dependency. Now let me expand. Can you see this MySQL connector where I can establish the connection to the database? Okay. Now database is ready. My application is ready. Now let me see. Okay, whatever the password I have provided, I'll make sure my database is ready. If I click on check, if it give a green tick mark, that means MySQL has been installed successfully by authenticating by providing the password. Click on next, click on execute. So I'm clicking on finish. So once I click on the finish, let me click on this finish. Okay, the server is ready. Okay, now let me open my MySQL. Okay, MySQL workbench. So I try to re-enter the password which I provided. Okay, so this is the database. So here I'm going to create database. Let us say create database. Um, okay, let us say create database training. Okay, I click on this database, and if I press Control Enter, let me maximize your screen. Database has been created, and let me use this database. Use training. So when I click on enter, you can see rows has been created. Okay, now I need to create the table. In order to create the table, create table, let us say EMP, or I try to create the table programmatically. From my Java application, I try to create the table in the database. Now, in order to establish the connection, now I have MySQL and Java program. Now I need to see whether am I able to establish the connection. So now I have the class, everything is ready. Okay, let me create a new class. Let me give it as a demo. I'll show you how these applications will get connected. Let me zoom this file. Hope so everyone are able to see the screen. So now I'm trying to have a main method. So now I need to see that my connection is getting loaded or to the database. I'll be using class. There's a class dot for name. So now it is a checked exception. In order to add this driver, I'll click on this com.mysql cj JDBC. There's a class cj.jdbc. I'll try to right click. I'll copy qualified name. Okay, what is the difference is that if I copy means it will copy only that particular class name called as a driver.class. But if I copy qualified name, it will copy with the packages. Okay, now I try to use, since it is a checked exception, so I need to handle with try catch block. I try to give the exception as class not found exception. So in order to verify, I try to give, okay, driver loaded successfully. If driver is not loaded, I'll say driver not loaded successfully. Okay, now let me try to run this program, run as Java application. Can you see driver has loaded successfully? Yes, this is the first step. The second step is that I need to establish the connection. So in order to establish the connection, that is, a connection is an interface, we'll try to have connection con equal to null. Local variables need to be explicitly initialized. I try to have statement stmt equal to null. You can see everything, whatever I'm importing, everything I'm importing from SQL. Can you see this? All the packages, SQL packages. Okay, now in order to establish, I can use con equal to driver manager. What I am trying to do, I am trying to establish the connection Java application to your database driver manager dot get connection, where I try to use three things. One is URL, username, and password. Now I try to give JDBC colon double forward slash MySQL and I'll specify where the database is present. Like I'll say localhost and I try to provide the port number 3306. Port number means you can understand like an STD code. Earlier, whenever we used to connect, whenever we used to make 22 years down the line, when people had the landline phone, if I want to make a trunk call, I need to use mobile landline number along with that STD code. Understand? So when I'm giving here JDBC colon double forward slash localhost 3306, what is the name of the database? I have given the name of the database as training. And the username, what is the username? By default for MySQL, the username is root. And the password, which I gave here, I try to provide the customized password. Okay, this is the password which I provided. Now I need to see whether, since it is a checked exception, we try to use try followed with catch, and the exception it will be throwing SQL or SQL exception E. So to verify here, I'll say sysout. I try to print connection established successfully. Connection not established. Okay, connection established successfully, connection not established, I can provide. Now let me see whether the connection is getting established or not to the database. Sorry, the problem is this URL JDBC colon, not double forward slash. Can you see driver established connection successfully? So now I have established the connection. What is the third step? I need to create the statement. That means through programmatically, I need to perform like table creation and all. How can I perform the table creation? I can use through statement interface. So I'll use statement. We have created already statement, which is a local variable. I can call stmt call con dot create statement, which is a method. So based on this, I try to call string cs. I try to create the table. Create table emp. I try to give emp id. Let us say int emp name. I try to provide varchar. Like let us say I try to give varchar 30 characters, and I try to provide emp salary. Let us say int. Now this particular table needs to get created. Okay, in order to execute this statement, I'll be using stmt.execute. There's a method called execute where I'm trying to call cs. Okay, let me see whether the table is getting created. What is the table? Create table emp employee ID, employee name and salary. Right click, run as Java application. You can see driver loaded, connection established successfully. Now let us verify in the database. Now if I click use training, okay, let me type show tables. When I press Control Enter, can you see the employees there? Now let me describe. You will type describe EMP. Can you see the employee ID, employee name, employee salary which I have created? Is it getting populated through the front end? Now, in order to insert the record, let us say, what if suppose if I want to insert any particular record, how can I achieve this? In order to achieve this, yeah, in order to achieve this, let us take any one of the participants. Okay, let us say, since the table has been created, I'll not use this statement. So execute for DDL operation. DDL means creating the table, okay, altering the table or dropping the table, then you'll use execute method. Now we are trying to perform DML operation, that is insert, update and delete. Now in order to achieve this, I can use string CS. I can call insert into emp values. I try to give emp values, let us say 1001, and I try to give Rohit Singh. So when you are giving this value, it should be in single quotes. Let us say I try to give 45,000. So this is the value which I try to perform stmt dot execute update. Whenever you are performing CRUD operation like a DML operation, you need to use execute update, and I try to call CS. Okay. Now the same query I'll write here 1002 Varun Gopal. Let us say 55. I try to change the value 3 Murthy Kadam. Let us give 60,000. Okay, now let me see that whatever the records which I give. Now before verifying here, you can type here select star from EMP. Before I execute, let me check what is the record. Okay, control enter. Can you see there is no record? Now we are trying to execute the statement. Okay, let me save this file, right click, run as Java application. Can you see driver loaded, connection established? Now let me go back to the database, verify here. Click on the statement. Can you see all these values are getting populated? Understood? With the help of execute update, you are able to retrieve the record. You're able to retrieve the record, correct, right? Now, whatever the record you have retrieved, now how can we populate that in the front end? The question is that how can I populate these values which is getting displayed? So in order to get populated, I try to use string CS. Whatever the backend operation which I perform, that is select star from EMP, I'll just copy the statement, come back to your program and type it here. So whatever the queries is there, the STMT will have a method called execute query. So whatever the query which I pass CS, I'm trying to pass it here. The return type of this execute query, let us see what is that execute query. It is a result set. Okay, again result set rs, which is an interface. Let me import Control Shift O to in order to import this. Once you import there, with the help of result set, I need to get how many columns are there. In order to get the number of columns, I'll be using get metadata. With help of this get metadata interface, I'll get to know how many set of columns. So let us have Harris MD. I can have result set metadata. Okay, let all the packages should be there. Now, when I have imported this package, with the help of rsmd, I try to call the method get column count. I want to know how many columns are there. In my database, I have 3 columns, correct? So that is where I'll be able to get there. I'll try to call int columns. Once I retrieve these columns, okay, I'll perform. I need to iterate this because I have Rohit Singh, Varun Gopal, Murthy Kadam records. In order to retrieve that, I try to use while rs dot next. So it will try to create a pointer method. Since it is trying to create the record, I try to use, since the pointer is here, can you see this one? I need to retrieve 1, 2, 3. That is 1001 Rohit Singh 45,000. So in order to retrieve here, I need to have a for loop for int I equal to 1, I less than equal to columns, whatever the columns, I am trying to perform I plus plus. So depending on this, I can call whatever the value which is coming from the database. I try to give get string based on the index. Let us say I try to give I value. Depending on that index, I'll store it in string variable, string s. So what this string s it is trying to retrieve? Now it is trying to retrieve as of now 1001. Then after looping Rohit Singh, then 45k. That is what it is trying to print. In order to print this value, I can print system. I'll try to use print rather than println so that I can print that yes value. So when I get this value, I try to give some space. I'll give here. So when I try to print this value, or let me run this, right click, run as Java application. You can see, okay, since it is printing all the information in one line, what I can try to perform is, in order to print after this for loop, I try to put system.out.println. So when I try to right click, run as Java application, you can see that the records are populating. So this is about how to insert the record, how to retrieve the record. Finally, you need to release the resources. So that's where we'll use finally block. Then we'll check if connection not equal to null. If it is not equal to null, then I try to call con.close method. What is that? I'm trying to release the connection. Since it is a checked exception, I try to handle using try catch block. That means finally I need to release the resource. What are the things I've done? First one is loading the driver. Second one is establishing the connection to the database. Third one, I'm trying to perform SQL statement with the help of statement interface. In order to retrieve the operation, I'm using a result set. Finally, you need to handle the exception. I'm using class not found exception plus SQL exception, SQL exception. And finally is to release the resources. Whatever the resources are there, I need to release that. So people who are learning this, who are planning to enroll for the certification, so this will be the roadmap which will be consisting of. So you'll be learning introduction to Java, data handling functions and all. Finally, you will be learning JDBC, and towards the end you'll be learning Hibernate. This is the Java certification training courses which will be there, and you'll have like how I demonstrated hands-on. Everything will be demonstrated, concepts very clearly. Okay, so here in the advanced Java, you can see this is the course plan. Sorry, you'll start with the core Java, and once JDBC, you'll start with the Hibernate, Spring, Ajax, and design patterns till core Java, JDBC. From JDBC onwards, you'll have advanced Java, JDBC, Hibernate, and Spring, Ajax, and design patterns. So hope so you people enjoyed. Thank you. Have a nice day.